All right, guys, happy January 5th. It is Wednesday. I am full of gratitude, full of excitement, and I'm super, super pumped for our session today. So if you are a guest on the line today, can you just give me a reaction on the reaction button down below? Just go ahead and give me any type of emoji, letting me know that you are a guest for your very first time for Keep It Moving Group Coaching. For the people that are in this room that are guests, I just want to say thank you for being here. This is an environment that was built for collective wisdom. We're here to share, to give, and to learn and make sure that we are growing as a collective. So thank you for being here at Keep It Moving Group Coaching. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We go full tilt. We have special guests like Sean on every single week on Wednesdays. So if you want to come to these sessions in the future, Judith, if you can, please put the registration form down below. I'd love to keep you in the loop of different things that we're doing. So really excited about today. What we do, Sean, is we always have somebody bring us out on the field. And what that means is that we are going into battle. We're going out on the field for game day. So I want to pick somebody that is actually stationary, and I'm going to have that person bring us out on the field. And you know what? Will was here first. He was the first one in the waiting room. So Will, big dog, I'm going to turn it to you, and I'm going to have you bring us out on the field on this beautiful January 25th Wednesday. So my man, hit us with it.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Glad to be in training with you guys. Excited to have escrows popping right now and be in full-fledged on getting this year started off the right way. We're 1 week out from February. So, I mean, I know it's nuts. We just had New Year's hit. We are literally almost 1/12 of the year down. So let's continue to devote our time and energy into these trainings and really showing up and being present for people that are taking their time to be in here. Thank you, Sean, for being with us today. You've got 80 participants in here and the baddest ass real estate company that I'm aware of that are here to learn and implement with massive action what you put out this morning. We're all going to do our very best to take at least 1 to 2 things that Sean says today, immediately implement so that we can see some transformation. Because why are we here if not to manifest, baby?
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for coming to Will's TED Talk, you guys. That was the session. Thank you, Will. I love you, my man, and I appreciate you bringing us out on the field. If you guys check the chat below, we have a new registration link for people that are guests that want to be in the loop on future sessions. Make sure to register. That way I have your name, your email, and I can make sure to fill you in on what's going on in the future. But before we do so, really quick, who is reading the book Psycho-Cybernetics? Once again, please raise your hand. Michael, you better be reading that, bro. I know that you're you're part of that group. But you guys, this is a life-changing book. If you have not read that book, please go and get that book. The original author was Maxwell Maltz. I wanted to start out with a quote before we get started with our group session for this morning. It says, within you now is the power to do things you never dreamed possible. The power becomes available to you just as soon as you change your beliefs. What I love about the book is that everything that is external, the way that we are carrying ourselves in this world, comes from our internal belief about self. What are we projecting to the world? How are we attracting things that we truly, truly want in our world? I believe if you want to change the way you're thinking about life, about business, about self-image, about self-esteem, read that book, and I promise you it will be a game changer. And I've read many books. That book was one of the very first books that I had to read in business when I was 19 years old. And 30 days after that, I had to cut my hair. I had hair down to here in a long ponytail. And he said, do you want to be a man or do you want to be viewed as a man with long hair? And at that time, I said, I want to just be a man that's viewed and not have any stigmas upon me. And so that book changed my life. So make sure that you're reading that. So Sean, let's go full tilt today, man. I'm really, really excited to have you. I have some notes here. So this is the power of social media. I didn't know Sean, and he came to our Focus and Fire Mastermind, and he was in the back, and I only knew him because of social media. I've seen his videos over and over and over again, and he had the hat on, right? The backwards trucker hat. That's how I knew him. That's how I identified. And I was like, your videos are great. And so it's just the power of what's happened over the last 5 years on social media. You've seen all these people emerge and brands built in an identity in a way that is completely different than what the business was 5 years prior. So Sean, I'm really stoked to have you on today. Just to tell a little bit about your background. Obviously, you help agents, you help real estate professionals develop strategies, marketing, branding, making sure to have ways to overcome any challenges that we face in the market. And so I'm excited to hear from you today. But first and foremost, I wanted to ask you a couple questions just to kind of break the ice, if you don't mind that. Is that cool?
No, absolutely. Dude, thank you so much for having me as a guest today. I'm super excited to do this with you all.
I'm stoked to have you here. So I had a quick question for you. The van. So when did the van, and I'm sure, I don't know if you guys see, he shoots content inside his van. He'll go pull up at a beautiful beach and shoot his content. So when did the van become part of your content creation or your mobile office? When did that happen?
So it happened. I started helping. So I've been in lending for 22 years. I started helping home buyers directly in 2017. It was then my son showed me a video on YouTube. He's like, look at this lady's van. And, she had this couch out looking over like this, beautiful place. And I was like, man, I feel like I could make an office out of that. And, I think that we get inspired and like we have inspirations, intuitions, and a lot of times we suppress them, right? 'Cause it's not normal. And I just kind of went for it. And I remember signing the papers to buy the van. It was a box van, right? I'm like, I can't believe I'm buying a FedEx van right now. I can see it in my head, like sitting there at the table, signing the papers. Like, what am I going to do if I get stuck with this FedEx van? And I will never have a different car. Like it became part of me. And the idea for me was, I don't like doing things the way they're always done. I think all of us need to question tradition. And it became like why can't I do this? And that's basically, it just kind of evolved from there. And I'm on my second one now. So it's 2017, COVID happens, everyone's trying to figure out how to work remote. And I'm just like, I'm loving this. So
man, I absolutely love it. Because if you're around our team enough, you'll hear a theme of being unorthodox, right? Like being untraditional and throwing conformity as far out the window as possible. So I think that message resonates with a lot of us on the call today. So I appreciate that. So tell us about the evolution of content creation. Like, when did you start making video? How did it evolve? How has it progressed? And then we're going to get right into the workshop for the morning. So take us on a little history journey of how we got started in content.
Yeah. So just like everyone else, I was scared to be on video. I don't like how I look. I don't like how I sound. Barry Habib, I don't know if anyone knows who Barry Habib is, but Barry Habib mentored me. And back in 2012, he's like, you have to get on video. And I was like, no, I don't like how I look or how I sound. He's like, don't care. You have to do it. And, I was coaching loan officers. So my job was to help loan officers do more business. And so I would do a lot of keynotes, right? And I would just make these decks, and I recorded with voiceover. And he's like, good job. Now get your face on there. I don't want to be on video, but you just force yourself through it. So I was lucky. I got pushed into it, early in 2012. I mean, Barry has been doing video forever. And then the evolution of it was you get comfortable, right? You get kind of numb, like all of us sitting on Zoom calls, like this is just normal now. And the evolution was, can I improve the lighting? Like the lighting in here is driving me crazy right now, but it is what it is. But like, can I present myself better on video? Because video is the #1 way to have a face-to-face conversation without sitting in front of someone. So, like Elias said, you want to present yourself in your best way. And this enables us to do that. And then, short form came up last year. I mean, short form really didn't matter until last year. And I think, it's not the only way. It's just a way to do something. So I like to leverage both sides. You got to have long form and short form, in my opinion.
I love it. I love it. And so obviously you've built a great business. You have tremendous visibility and you've done it your way. I love the backdrop. I love the scene. I love the van. So let's talk about strategy. Obviously we're here to learn from you. I'm a student as well, and I'm always going to be a student. And so we talked the other day and you hooked me. You said, hey man, I would love to talk to you about this workshop that I'm doing that's going to help your team get more business in the next 60 days. I'm like, I'm all for that, man. I'm all for that. So if you guys are here, if you're not driving, make sure to take notes. If you guys are driving, make sure to go back and watch the replay. So we are all ears, Sean. Let's go ahead and take it away, man. Let's talk high-level strategies, what's working, and then we'll leave a little bit of time at the end, right around 8:22, 8:24 to do some Q&A. So Sean, let's go ahead and take it away, big dog.
Okay, cool. Can I share my screen or?
Yep, let me give you
Okay,
share
all right,
screen
sweet.
rights right now. and then
We'll kind of walk. I'm a visual guy. I have to see things,
Me too.
understand them. So yeah, so let's just jump into it. So basically what I want to walk you guys through is some things that I've been thinking about. We saw such a dramatic shift in 2022, like beginning first quarter was absolute insane. Same thing we saw in 2020, 2021. And then boom, we're into, call it a buyer's market. I call it a normal market. We just forgot what normal was. So I find people, even yesterday I was having conversations with people and they're still comparing their current environment to 22 and 21. I'm sorry, 21 and 20. That wasn't normal. That'll never happen again. So we shouldn't be using that as our bar, right? But I think it gave us all a sense of what we're able to do. Like, oh my gosh, I'm capable of doing far more volume than I thought I was, right? I can handle more than I thought I could. And now we kind of want that, or I hope we want that. I mean, we have such a great opportunity in real estate to kind of build whatever we want. And that's kind of who this is directed to, because I do think we will be in a seller's market this spring. Just from all the markets that I saw in the chat, their inventory is going to be tight and you're going to have more buyers come in as interest rates go down. So when people hear that, they get excited, right? Because they go, oh, that's what 2021 was. We're not going to have the same volume. You're not going to have the same amount of inventory, which means there's not going to be the level of volume there once was. So to jump into it, what I'm going to help you guys with today is I just want to cover 3 points. I want to cover the psychology of the market, what we saw in 2022, how to overcome objections you might be hearing right now. And then, hopefully with the data points I'm going to provide you, go, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I can run with this. I want you to be the loudest in your market, which, spoiler alert, you're going to be on video. So we'll start with psychology. So 2021 was a fear of missing out. I think one of the biggest things that happened through COVID was we got so much noise, right? You have more people chirping in, giving you thoughts that you may not have had in the past. Like one person can comment on a video and it could shift somebody's decision. They have no idea who that person is, but that one person may be the one where it's like, okay, I was kind of feeling that way. So since random guy said that, I'm not going to do whatever this thing is. So 2021, oh my gosh, if everyone's buying a house, I need to buy a house, right? Prices are going up. I need to jump in. Everyone's investing in real estate. It was a cool thing to do, right? Same with crypto and stocks. Like everyone all of a sudden is an investor in one way or another. And I just remember how noisy it was with everyone's crypto advice. And now it's dead silent. Like you don't hear a word about it anymore, right? But it doesn't mean it's not happening. There's still opportunities. Just people get quiet when they're not overly confident or arrogant about something. So 2021, everyone's going to buy a house. But what was the media saying? The media was saying, don't buy a house. Prices are going up too fast. This isn't sustainable. You have the lowest cost of money you have ever seen in history. That will not happen again. But the media said, don't do this. This is a bad decision, right? They were always driving that message, which creates fear in our minds, whether we move forward with it or not. Like we bought our house in 2021. I had that, oh my gosh, am I overpaying? As I had to beat out 20 people. Hindsight, it's the smartest decision I ever made. And I won't necessarily get into that story. If we have time, I can tell you my personal story on that and why it kind of drives to what I'm showing you guys, but we can table that too. So 22, you get into fear of making a mistake. Like, I don't know if there's actually an acronym for that, but that's what I'm going to use is FOMOM, because now all the noise that was saying I should buy real estate is now saying I shouldn't, right? Real estate's going to crash. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. So I go, oh my gosh, I'll be embarrassed if I make a mistake here. So I'm just going to sit it out. Right. And we're going, wait a second. All these people in 21 said they didn't want to deal with the competition. They thought the prices were too high. Well, now you have no competition and lower prices. Why aren't you buying now? Well, I don't want to buy a house if no one else is buying a house. It's like, well, that doesn't make sense. It's not what you initially said, but here we are. And then think of the people who bought back in 21. They might be thinking, oh my gosh, I made a huge mistake. Well, here's an example. So what we do for our clients is we always do mortgage reviews for them. So every 3 months, we give them an update on where things are at. And so of course, right now I'm showing everyone rates are higher, right? There's no opportunity to refinance, rates are higher. Well, when I compare their current mortgage to today's rates, this person who could have made a mistake by buying at the height of the market, their monthly payment is $1,500 lower than it would have been if they waited for a $250,000 correction. And they're going to save over $130,000 in interest in just the first 5 years because of the interest rate they got. Right. So if I send this to someone and they're feeling like, I can't believe I made such a huge mistake buying when I bought, and then they get this video, a video, everything's video with me. They get a video explaining, hey guys, congratulations. I'm so glad you bought when you did. Even if prices based on current comps are $250,000 lower, your monthly payment would have been $1,500 more a month at the lower price. And because you bought with the rates you did, you're going to save over $130,000 in just the first 5 years in interest comparing if you bought today. So you're in perfect shape. You have an interest rate that will never exist again. How do you feel now? I'm stoked. Like, I'm glad I bought when I did. And one of the big things for me with the fear is we come to, well, what about when I sell? Why do we always think that we have to sell real estate? Like, isn't the smartest thing to buy and hold, buy and hold, buy and hold? Just keep buying properties, renting them out, building wealth over time, building passive income. Everyone's worried about selling because they started thinking of real estate like a stock, right? It's crypto, it's stock. And really, in a way, real estate protects ourselves from ourselves, because I can't panic sell real estate, right? Like, if I see a stock going the wrong direction and I know I shouldn't sell, but I panic, I can click the button and I'm out. I don't have to worry about going down anymore, right? Well, you can't do that with real estate. It's a much more involved process to sell real estate. Well, what happens a lot of times when people panic sell? 2 days later, the stock's up and they're like, gosh, I wish I hadn't sold. So real estate, in a way, protects ourselves from ourselves. So objections. One thing I think that's really important is you need to be asking your leads and your clients why. So I was in a meeting one day, and the way that I learned how to help you all, how to help real estate agents, is I have to hear what the problems are. Inherently, I am a problem solver. When people tell me what they're up against, my brain starts firing with solutions. It's just the way I'm wired. So, this is a common one, right? I'm going to wait for prices to drop. Okay, well, why are you waiting for prices to drop, right? Do you guys remember this one? It was trending all over Instagram. Buying at 7%, 30,000 under is better than buying at 3%, 100,000 over. Well, I'm a data guy. I have to figure this out. So using $1 million price, if I bought at 1.1 million at 3%, and I wanted to put about 200,000 down out of pocket, my monthly payment's $5,065. If I bought and waited for a $30,000 drop at 7%, my payment's $6,273. So my monthly payment's $1,200 more. So we're waiting for prices to drop because we think that's going to provide us with a monthly savings, but it doesn't, right? Because anything else we buy in life, the lower the price, the better. And I totally agree with that. When it comes to real estate, the large majority of the money you're using to buy real estate is someone else's money, the mortgage, right? You're putting down 20%, 3%, somewhere in there. The bank is putting up the majority. So the cost of the money is more important than the cost of the house. Now, what the current market presented us with was an opportunity to get a discount on a house, knowing that interest rates are going to go down in the future. As you see inflation go down, you're going to see interest rates go down. And we've already started to see it a little bit. So that's the other objection. I'm waiting for rates to go down because I want my payment to be lower. Okay. So we already know from recent history what happens to real estate prices when interest rates go down. Prices go up, right? There's no way these two things will ever be level. You cannot have a lower interest rate and a lower priced home. It's impossible because of the demand that comes into the market. So when you talk to your clients and they say, hey, you go, hey, so what's stopping you from buying? Oh, I'm just waiting for rates to go down. Yep, totally. I get that. That makes sense. Put them on my drip campaign, reach out to them when I hear rates went down. Well, what if you could solve that now? Like, well, why are you waiting for interest rates to go down? Well, I just need the payment to be lower. Well, there's a lot of programs right now because of the way the market is where we could take advantage of the seller's money. And before we lower the price, we can use their money to get your interest rate down by 3% the first year. This is old. This is from November of last year where I was modeling out just above 6.5, but showing them how a 3-2-1 buy down works. I can get your rate into the 3s. Right now, I get your rate into the 2s for the first year. And this is a great solution because we know that interest rates are going to drop and you will be able to refinance in the next 2 to 3 years. So I don't think you'll even get to this fixed period, so let's take advantage of the seller's money. Let's get the payments and the interest rates down to where you want them to be. But if we don't ask why, we don't get to have those conversations. So why are you waiting for interest rates to go down? We have to get into the psychology of the fear that's holding people back from making a decision. And buying is not always the right decision. It just isn't. We have to find out what their motivation is and then build from there. Oh, okay. So interest rates. So this is a chart. I tried to pull this recently, right? January 19th, but here's a chart of interest rates, 30-year fixed over the last 12 months. So it's been going up, going up, going up. We peaked out and now we're trending down, right? So we've seen rates starting to trend down. They've been basically flat for about the last 60 days. But as interest rates go down, we know that more people are going to come into the market because, again, it creates more affordability. It creates more confidence because I need that lower interest rate to buy a house. Now, one important factor in this is going to be this date, May 10th. So remember, inflation drives interest rates up or down. And if you think back to November 10th is the day where we saw interest rates go down about 0.25%. We knew that was going to happen because of the way the year-over-year inflation reports. So we had October of 21 replaced by October of 22. Well, the inflation in October of 21 was really, really low, and it was replaced by 22. Now it all of a sudden flattens out, right? So that looked like inflation had just stabilized, and has. Where we're seeing the same trend here. So if you take shelter inflation, and then you look at the CPI, the core consumer price index, we're, whoa, what happened? We're flat, right? So everything's flattening out, which means that come May 10th, when April is reported, you should see the same thing happen that we saw November 10th. So interest rates, we're expecting interest rates to have a significant day in the market. I don't mean 1%, like nothing like that, but you're going to have a big increase that the media is going to talk about. That's going to drive more buzz. It's going to get more people engaged. So what does that mean? It does not mean your buyers, your clients should wait until May to buy a house, because everybody's going to do that, right? The FOMO is going to come back. Oh, I got an opportunity. I got to buy a house. Everyone's going to be fighting each other this spring. You're better off buying now, knowing that you can refinance, right? So we always, again, gimmicky stuff that's kind of gone nuts on social that I think almost hurts us in a way, but that whole marry the house, date the rate, divorce the landlord thing. It's true. Like it's a gimmicky way of saying it, and we don't want to oversell it. But the reality is, if you buy today with less competition, come spring, when the rates go down, more people jump into the market. They push your home value higher, right? Well, now but I'm stuck with a higher interest rate. I don't have the May interest rate. Yeah, you just refinance. Like you got into the house without fighting people for it. You can still get the rate. The rate is a means to an end, right? You can always improve the rate. And let's say all of this is wrong. What happens if rates go higher? Well, I'm really glad I have what I have, right? So interest rates are the thing we all get hung up on, when really the way I like to look at it is the means to an end. You either have a good rate that's better than the market, or the market gets better than your rate and you refinance. So this is an important one. 85% of homeowners with mortgages have a rate far below today's level, a factor prompting many to stay put. And a quote from this screenshot: some homeowners are opting to rent their properties out instead of selling to cash in on rising rents. Okay, I think it's 67% of the homes in America have an interest rate that starts with a 2 or a 3. That's a new factor that we've never, ever had in history that is going to prevent people from considering the idea of a move, right? So like me, I bought my house in 2021. It fits my family absolutely perfectly. Not another house has come to market that fits my house as well as fits my family as well as this house does. And my interest rate's 2.625%. Everyone's like, oh, you bought at the top of the market. Well, I don't care. Like I have a 5-year-old. I'm in this house for at least another 13 years. And just because if I become an empty nester 13 years from now, it doesn't mean I have to sell the house. Why wouldn't I keep it and rent it out, knowing that inflation is going to drive rents higher over time? Promise you the dollar will be worth less 13 years from now. So no part of me is considering selling the property. So we get caught up in the psychology of, well, what about when I want to sell? We're seeing more and more people think this way. I did this workshop last week with a small group. 3 of the 4 people in that group said the exact same thing. Well, I'm not going to sell. I'm just going to rent it out. Right? So that brings us to this problem: inventory. So supply and demand. Real estate is the simplest version of supply and demand. If you have more demand by interest rates going down, and you have less supply, what has to happen to the price? So look at this chart. So from 2014, well, number one, this chart goes back 25 years. We have the lowest inventory we have seen in 25 years. Look at from 2014 to now. It's a pretty consistent line going down, right? Only in like 2019 did we see a little bit more. And I think that's because that's right when interest rates dropped without COVID. That kind of spurred a little bit of a peak in the market. But other than that, I thought it was interesting that the line is so, it's like perfect, right? These peaks and valleys are following this line perfectly. So we're going to have less and less inventory because there's going to be less and less people selling. You also have more and more institutional investors than you've ever seen. JP Morgan is buying up land to build to rent properties, not build to sell, right? A friend of mine runs a real estate investment fund. They buy, during COVID, I think they were buying 1,200 houses a month. I think they've scaled back now to 600, right? Does that impact us in the Bay Area? Not really. Like, I think a lot of that kind of stuff is happening at lower price points because they want the volume of properties to own. But I think it's an important thing for us and everyone else to be thinking about is the reason there's less and less inventory is more and more people are just saying, I'm going to hold real estate and rent it out. I don't need to sell it, right? I don't need to sell the property. If I want to access the equity in this property to buy another property, I don't have to sell it. Just do a home equity line of credit. I can just refinance, right? I can continue to build my portfolio. It's everything we're all telling our clients. You want to build wealth through real estate, buy lots of properties, right? We're not saying it because we're getting paid a commission. We truly believe that's one of the best ways to build wealth, like generational wealth. So I think this is really important, and I'll send you these charts because I think between this chart and this chart, what more does a buyer need to see, right? I can't argue with the data. Now let's flip it. So let's say you were presenting at a listing to a seller and they're like, oh, market's going down, properties are sitting on the market. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think, we already know that buyers are going to be coming to the market because interest rates have stabilized and starting to come down. I think interest rates are going to come down even more on May 10th, which means it's going to be a big opportunity to buy real estate, and look at how the inventory is going down. So I think this spring is going to be a seller's market. You should be prepping your home for sale if you want to sell, because we're going to be there this spring. It's the same 3 data points, just using it for a different audience. Right now, I think buyers should be getting in because I think we'll be in a seller's market. So if I'm talking to a buyer today, here's why I think you should buy today. If I'm talking to a seller, here's why I think you should be prepping today to hit the market this spring. Renters. So this is my favorite thing that I do for first-time buyers. So we build out these buyer's guides for every single client. So this chart shows basically if you were buying a $600,000 home with 10% down, current interest rate, your monthly payment's $3,911. Let's say they were renting for $3,000 and their renter's insurance was $50 a month. Well, rent is skyrocketing, right? Because the rental prices of 2022 and 23 were what was the home purchase prices of 20 and 21. So the buyers just shifted to staying renters because they think, oh, I shouldn't buy right now. So we're seeing rent skyrocket, right? So I modeled out a 6% increase year over year, where I think from 21 to 22, rents went up on average. I think that the annual average was 16%, huge swings. And every buyer I talked to, I asked them, how much has your rent changed? Way more than it ever has. That's why I'm talking to you. I don't want to keep dealing with this. So right here in this section, it says tax benefit analysis over 3 years, 36 months, right? So it shows if they bought a house, they'd be saving $12,000. Well, what's the details of that? So if we click this more info button, oops, why is it going backwards? This screen comes up. So over just 3 years, if you continue to rent for 3 years, you will have paid $116,000 in rent and you will have 0 equity. You have a roof over your head. That's all you had, right? If you bought a house, you would have spent $140,000. 21,000 of that paid down your loan balance. That's equity you. Think of it as a forced savings account. And you had a tax spend of about 12,000, California specific. We just don't get as much out of the federal government anymore, but California wins. It's weird to say that we win because we get taxed so much, but that's a win. So you would have spent a net of 106,000 by buying a property. Well, your home appreciated at just 4% per year, going back to the old averages, putting COVID aside. Your real estate value increased to 674,000. Your loan balance is down to 518. That means you have net equity in your property of $156,000 in just 3 years. By converting your rent into a mortgage and buying this property, you have net equity of $156,000. Now, the psychology of this, buyers go, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But they're not thinking that's crazy where I could be in 3 years. They're going, I can't believe I've wasted that much money the last 3 years. Hindsight's always 20/20. We always create regret, psychology, right? I always tell people, all I do for a living is 4th grade math and psychology. Like, that's it. So that's what happens when they see this chart. They go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've made such a huge mistake the last 3 years. You didn't make a mistake. You just realized an opportunity that you can use moving forward, right? And that's what helps. And look, when you guys say this, if I say this without the data, we're salespeople. When I show them all of this, I'm an advisor. I'm just providing a service at that point. Nobody wants to be sold anything. They want to understand and make confident decisions. So that being said, assuming you guys agree with these data points, you have to be the loudest person in your market because, and that's why I wanted to talk about this early. So when I reached out to Elias, he was like, you can do it next Wednesday. I was like, man, I got to beat this event, but like, this can't wait because you have to be loud about this now, assuming you agree with it, right? Because like I said, there's not going to be enough volume to support all of the real estate agents. There's not going to be enough volume to support all of the mortgage people. The people who are loudest in their markets are the ones who are going to be heard. And if you're presenting data and you're not selling, you're also the smartest person in the room. And that's what I want you guys to be able to do. So sorry, guys, you got to be on video. And one of the things I love the most is when I was at the Fast office in Oakland, there's a studio. So all the excuses, like the reason most people don't start doing videos, they go, as soon as I get the fancy camera, I'm going to start doing video. As soon as I get the fancy microphone, I'm going to start doing video. As soon as I get this, I get that, right? We find reasons to not do things. All those reasons are just excuses, right? We're finding excuses because we don't like how we look and we don't like how we sound. And we're scared that people are going to disagree with our opinions, right? That's why we're doing this. Everything comes back to psychology, right? I'm scared too. And not everyone agrees with me, right? I've had plenty of trolls all over me on videos, and I see those as a great opportunity to educate someone. So if somebody disagrees with you, let's have a chat about it, right? It gives you more opportunities. So there's two ways to do it, but regardless of how you choose to create your content, and think of this as the new version of a mailer, right? Everybody would make a postcard, you mail it out, and you hope people see it, and you hope they reach out to you. This is just the new mailer. The only difference is it doesn't cost any money, right? You could send a mailer to someone, they could look at it and go, this guy's an idiot, and throw it away. No harm done because I didn't hear you say I'm an idiot. Nowadays, I make a video and they go, like, this is the best. Beginning of 2020, when we were all, COVID's going crazy, everyone's saying it's going to be 08 again. I made a video on YouTube. There was no short form yet, but I put on YouTube, I put on Instagram as well. And I said, here's why this isn't 08. And I recorded it in my van. And one of the best comments was, coming from a dude who lives in his van. So it's like, who am I to give real estate advice when I'm sitting in the back of a van giving real estate advice? They don't know that it's parked in front of the house that I own. So I don't care, right? Like, that comment could be hurtful. Oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. Get over it. Like, if you truly believe in the information you're providing, you have to tell as many people as you possibly can. It's your job. I think it's your duty to share that opinion. So this is the formula, right? It's super easy. And Neil Dingra was just in your guys' office. What was that, last week or the week before? This is basically what he's done for Instagram. And I think Instagram's not enough. And there are some tweaks I would make to that in the current environment. And I'll get into that. But basically, whether you're doing a short form video or a long form video, and I think you should do both. Whatever concept you have, record a short form video, and then you can say, for more information, go to my YouTube channel. You can drive people from one platform to another to grow your following, right? But it all starts with your idea. What do I want to talk about? I want to talk about how interest rates are going up. There's going to be less inventory there than there's ever been, and why I think it's a seller's market come this spring. Cool. So that becomes script. I don't like the word script. It sounds salesy. And if you're using somebody else's script, it's not your idea. It's not your information. That's not value. But script, think of it as gathering your thoughts, right? What do I want to talk about? How do I make it concise? How do I make sure people can understand it? Like, one of the things, the compliments, I'll call it, that I get from people a lot is they say, Sean, you're really good at making something complex seem simple. And that's a goal, right? Like, for me, it always started with, would my fourth grader understand this? And that's what I want to try and do. I don't want to seem like I'm overly smart and unapproachable. I don't want to use all this technical data and analysis and this and that. I want it to be relatable. And I want people to feel like that guy's approachable. That's why I don't wear suits. I don't wear suits because, in my opinion, and other people could disagree with this, in my opinion, a suit would intimidate me. I don't want to ask questions because I'm going to feel like an idiot to this guy. And I want to break down as many barriers as I can to make people as comfortable as I can. That applies in person, on Zooms, and on videos. So your script is really just the idea. Then you're going to record it. You don't need the fancy cameras and all that stuff. You have an IMAX camera in your pocket. When they made that Everest movie 20 years ago, 4K was an IMAX video, and the camera was like 50, 60 pounds, and they're dragging it up Mount Everest. And now you have it in your pocket. So you don't need anything more than this thing. Android, whatever. I don't care what it is. So record the message, edit, have somebody edit it for you. Don't become a video editor, right? Like, your time is valuable. Outsource the editing. There are a million people. Like, every day I get 5 people offering to edit my videos for free so that they can charge me later. So editing's easy. And then posting it, right? You want to post it on whatever platform and go from there. So comparing, YouTube versus Instagram. I think Instagram is a commercial. So think of it like a Super Bowl commercial. People are, you're not really all that focused. Like, when I'm scrolling through Instagram, I'm waiting for a Zoom to start. I have free time for a second, but I'm not being tactical. I'm not trying to be like research anything. I'm just scrolling. So think of it as an opportunity to brand yourself and be a commercial. In the Super Bowl, if you see a commercial, like a Lexus commercial that you love, never in history has somebody seen the Lexus commercial and said, I'm leaving the game right now because I'm going to go buy that car. The goal with the commercial, and they're spending what, $5 million for 30 seconds. The goal is, I want people to talk about this tomorrow at work. Hey, remember that Lexus commercial yesterday? That was awesome. And then when the time comes to buy a car, I hope they remember this commercial so they come to us. That is how I look at Instagram. Instagram is not a lead generation tool for me. It's a commercial. It's a branding tool. Hopefully I'm in front of people, so when the time comes to get a mortgage, they think of me. That's really all it is. YouTube is a place where people will take action. And I think in the Bay Area, when you have people moving around, you can use YouTube because people are going to look up. So let's say somebody has a job transfer and they're going to move from Silicon Valley to Oakland. What are they going to look up on Google? Neighborhoods in Oakland, where to live in Oakland, life in Oakland, school districts in Oakland. Google owns YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. So that is where people will spend more time to listen to what you have to say. Not every video needs to be 10 seconds long. The commercials need to be 10 seconds long. But when they want to research something, when somebody's in a mindset of research, they're going to YouTube, not Instagram. So think of that as you're building your content process to reach people and be specific. So, like charts, like this is a video I put up last week talking about what we're talking about right now. You could screenshot this chart and green screen it and just be like, hey, everyone, I don't know if you saw this, but right here, this is why we're going to have a seller's market this year. And you could just be done, right? It doesn't have to be overly done. It doesn't have to have the fancy lights and the backlight and the mic. Like, you can get the message across to people. Don't prevent people from learning from you because you're worried about your setup, right? And again, Fast has the setup. So we kind of already removed that. This is a video I just Googled. So I was trying to, in preparation for this, I was trying to find pros and cons, and I've done this a couple of times. So I had to look for a different city. But as an example, my friend Cooper does pros and cons of different areas in the Bay Area. And I did pros and cons of Danville, and his video popped up, right? I don't know if it's like built in because I've searched for other things. I don't know if I've interacted with him, engaged with him in the past that it did that. So I did Walnut Creek. I've never searched for Walnut Creek. What was funny is this video came up that says the pros and cons of living in Walnut Creek, but it's an Oakland, California video. So I don't know if that's intentional or not, but these types of videos I think do very, very well. And the reason I like pros and cons, again, you're not a salesperson this way. You're providing information, because when you give somebody the negatives, you're telling them why they shouldn't move there, right? So now they've met you. You're the first real estate agent they've seen, and they trust you because you told me why I should and why I shouldn't. And then they're more likely to reach out to you. My buddy Ro did this video that is, you could watch this video. He even says it's the dumbest video ever. He did this when Steph Curry was selling his house in Alamo. This is years ago. Guess who his client became from this video? So I'm just saying, you never know what's going to happen with these types of things. So that being said, questions, concerns, how can I help?
Yeah, let's do that. Why don't you stop sharing your screen, Sean?
Yep.
Really, really powerful. And I love a couple of things that you said. And actually, we just talked about this. I think it was on Monday, 10 video ideas. And some of the ideas were 5 things people love about this city, 5 things that people hate. I like pros and cons and the term a little bit better, but a few things that I took from this, and I want to open it up to you guys. So feel free to raise your hand, but the mentality and the psychology of panic selling, right? And that we were in a FOMO of 2021 of, oh my God, I need to buy. And there was this frenzy. And then the psychology of a buyer is the fear of making a mistake. I'm actually going to use that in a video, if you don't mind.
It's all yours.
Protects ourselves from ourselves and really being able to simplify, right? I believe that the key to duplication is simplicity, and you said it, fourth grade math and psychology, being able to break things down to where consumers understand it instead of leaving them lost in the weeds, in the data, and too much, right? And sometimes we do that, and it's to our own fault. So really great stuff. I'd love to hear from you guys. What are some questions that you have, some dialogue, some thoughts, some insights, some takeaways? Feel free to raise your hand or just raise or put an emoji on the screen. Who has a question? Let's utilize this time for Sean. Anybody have a question? Let's go around the room. 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. Let's do this. Let's do this a little bit differently. I'm gonna go around the room, get a few key takeaways. Olivia, was that a hand up? You took yourself off of mute?
Hey, yeah. Hi, Olivia McNally here from the Peninsula, San Mateo County. And just wanted to say, amazing information. I know everybody on here thinks this, but really, really powerful data. And I have a couple of sellers right now who are really hemming and hawing about, do we hold on? Do we wait for the spring market? And, you know, I'm 9 years young in this industry, but I will say that the conversation I'm about to have with them today is super different because of this conversation that we just had. And I just can't thank you enough, Sean. Thank you so much. And if there's any way to get some of those charts that you shared, I'd be super grateful for that.
No, absolutely. And honestly, every time I do anything, I'm like, am I going to bring value today? Like I get super nervous every freaking time, no matter what it is. So thank you so much for that. I really, really appreciate that.
I love it.
Yeah,
And
you're a rock star. There's no reason to be nervous.
Yeah, I love the humility too. Let's hear from Lex, and then I want to hear a couple other people's key takeaways and or questions, but not Lex, Will. Now I'm calling you by your IG name. Let's hear from you, bro.
Thanks. Hey, Sean, we missed it in my house because I had to grab a phone call, but what exactly was the reason that you think that the homes are going to be in a better place for sale and listing? Specifically, was it tied to the fact that the inflation is dropping and you think that there has to be a rate adjustment? Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, basically two quick reasons. One, interest rates have kind of peaked and are starting to go down. So buyers are going to not be scared anymore. I'll make less of a mistake, right? I can come into the market. As buyers come into the market, we're not going to have as much inventory as we've had in the past. And the biggest shift in that is going to be, well, two things. One, people with super low interest rates aren't going to move. They're not going to sell. Two, institutional investors are buying up everything. And I don't think the institutional thing hits California as much, but it is a good data point when you're talking to people about buying or selling.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to understand that better. Thank you.
I think what you guys can really take from this is that there's two ways to build urgency. Obviously, you can build urgency with the sellers explaining this historical chart from 25 years and showing the trend and why their house is going to be a hot commodity, but also sharing with consumers that that window of opportunity and that margin of opportunity is getting small. We've been talking about this. I thought that the market that we have been in the last 30 days, 60 days was going to stand a little bit longer, but we saw the shift, especially here in the Bay Area, a lot sooner. So what's happening is that multiple offers are back, non-contingent offers are back, preemptive offers are back. Competition is starting to heighten. And so if you guys don't remember that market, and if you're newer in this business, that was crazy gunslinging out on the streets, wild, wild west. We don't want to have to get back to that. And so when you're having these conversations with a consumer, they need to understand why it's not a good reason for them to wait and be able to educate them in the most simple way, like Sean has articulated. Good stuff. Love that. Will, let's hear from Michael. Let's hear from Cynthia. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your takeaways, and where your head is at right now. So Michael Gallegos, he's actually, he's a lender. He's one of our preferred partners in the office at Fairway. So Michael, I'd love to hear from you, bro.
For sure. Thank you, Elias. Thank you, Sean. I mean, I've seen you around. I know you were at different companies before RPM and stuff like that when RPM wasn't around. And love your videos, man. Definitely lot of great information. You know, I've been using Mortgage Coach and stuff like that, so I'm now looking at different ways to use it because I have been pretty much stagnant on how I'm using it. Instead of being able to, you know, articulate all that stuff, and then especially with the 3-2-1 buy down, I love how you did it individually for each year, and whereas I have it just once. So definitely got a lot of ideas, and I really appreciate everything that you did today. I mean, just I just gotta provide those points to the clients to let them know and stop those objections that I'm just gonna wait till prices to drop or rates to drop. So a lot of great information, dude. Really appreciate it.
No, and just as a lender, I mean, so somebody said in here, can you provide a branded version of these slides? Visual aids help me so much not having the numbers background. Do not try to become a lender. Please don't become a lender. Like, refer to your lenders. Let us do that. Like, I think I'm really good at that part of it. You don't do your own inspections, right? You trust an inspector to do those. Think of your lender as a true teammate and partner. If you're not using a specific lender, you really need to engage with that, because it's good cop, bad cop, right? You might tell someone they're like, oh, they're just trying to get me to buy a house. And then we show them the details and the data because we're good at speaking to the numbers. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome now, right? So if you don't have a specific lender on your team, you need to change that immediately. Like, the lender's more important than it's ever been in the past.
I love it. I love it. And what we're seeing more and more of is that agents, when they're doing their initial buyer's consultation, they're doing that discovery, they're finding out the needs, they're having a lender on that call. And I think that's super, super powerful, because you back up the urgency with stats, with data, and a true professional in the industry. I love that partnership early on. And I've seen so much growth when you have them to the agent and the lender on that very first call. So really, really good stuff. Let's hear from Cynthia. Cynthia, I'd love to hear your takeaways, thoughts, and insight on the conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Sean. This was amazing. So my biggest takeaway was I really need to hit the phones with this sense of urgency. I've already been doing the call people twice, send a text, send a voicemail, send an email, and that is creating that sense of urgency. Oh shit, she's calling me like twice in a row. Now this is giving me the information to back up why I'm calling them with this urgency, why we need to get off the fence and go start looking now if you guys want to be in a home in 1 to 3 months, instead of let's wait and wait and wait. What are you waiting on, right? So this was really informational, and I can't wait to get those slides. Thank you so much.
No, my pleasure.
I'll make sure to get them out to everybody. So Sean, if you just get them to me, I'll make sure that everyone that came to the session today has those. And Vanessa though said this a couple months ago, and it's always stood out to me, that time in the market is better than trying to time the market, right? Any way that we look at it, the time spent in the market is better than you waiting and waiting and waiting, because you're never going to be able to time it perfectly. Just get in the market. Just be in the market. So I love that point, Cynthia. Joe Allen, you had your hand up, and then we'll take 2 more, and then we'll close out the session. Joe Allen, let's hear from you.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. It was so nice meeting you in Las Vegas as well. Your wife was super sweet. I got to meet her. But I totally agree with you about the people that bought the house with a low 2 to 3% interest rate. We're not selling. We're going to keep that house forever. Why would we sell it? So the people that are going to sell are someone who either died, got married, had a birth, right? And so that's what we need to find, is we need to find those deals and then bring them to our buyers. But thank you for that.
Love it. Love it. Good insight, Joe Allen. So Sean, we've heard from obviously different people, different lenders. Your lights went out, but it's all good.
I know, I'm like,
it's all good. So people have different opinions on that. Is it safe to say, in your opinion, as an expert, is it safe to say that a 2-1 buy down is not always the best bet? Because as the market changes, if that interest rate comes down, which it's going to come down, is that money better spent somewhere else versus buying down a rate that could essentially come down? And in some cases, is a client potentially wasting that money versus putting it into an account and a savings?
I'm super excited for this question, because I'm going to blow some minds right now. So let's say you do the 3-2-1 buy down or 2-1 buy down. I don't care what type you do. So let's say it costs $30,000. Right. And by the way, if you need help with buy downs, you can go to calculator.seanherrero.com. And I built a 3-2-1 buy down calculator that you guys can use. You plug in 3 details. It'll kick out the amount of money you need from the seller.
Say that website one more time.
I'll put in the chat too. It's calculator.seanherrero.com. How do you spell calculator? .com. Let's see. So there. Okay. So let's say the buy down is 30,000. Don't focus on what type of buy down you're doing right now. Focus on the dollars. We get 30,000 from the seller. That money goes into an escrow account, right? So the monthly payment, the mortgage company pulls a little bit of money out of that escrow account to pay the difference in the interest every month. Well, let's say they refinance and there's $15,000 left in that account. That $15,000, where does it go, right? Buyer just forfeits it. It goes to pay down the principal balance on their loan. They use up every single penny of it. So you can't lose money with that, right? It doesn't go back to the seller. Lender doesn't keep the money. That $15,000 pays down the principal balance. So when you refinance, your loan amount is going to be $15,000 less as a result of that.
Okay.
Right. So does the 2-1, 3-2-1, does a buy down always make sense? Like I said, I've done this for 22 years. This is the first market that I am completely confident with using it. And from November through today, I would say, shoot, every transaction, I think almost every transaction has used one of those types of programs. Because we're so confident rates are going down, right? And it gives people enough of a range. It's like, it's not a 1-year discount, and no one's getting into that loan unless they qualify at the full actual rate. Right. So it's different than an adjustable rate mortgage. It's different than those option arms back when everyone was focused on this monthly payment, you were qualified on something, and then it could adjust way higher than what you actually have. You were qualified based on 6%, even though you're paying 3% that first year. And then in a situation, so since the buy down programs, the temporary buy downs qualify at the actual rate, it doesn't help somebody to qualify for more house. So instead, you could do a permanent rate buy down, right? So you have the seller, you use the seller's money to pay the discount points to lower the interest rate permanently, which gives the buyer more range because they can qualify for more house that way. So what I do is I tell every client in Realtor, I'm like, I need to be involved in the offer process. One of my biggest pet peeves is, hey, we're in contract, and I had no idea somebody made an offer, because I can't go backwards with strategies. I want to use the seller's money to the most advantageous way for the buyer, period. Whether that's a temporary buy down, a permanent rate buy down, closing cost credits, or price reduction, or a combination of those, right? Everyone defaults to lower the price. It's not the best use of people's money. Get the rate down, get their closing costs covered, then lower the price.
I love it. I love it. Because a lot of times, and I love the strategy, behind it, because a lot of times agents might be asking for concessions or seller credits that aren't enough, right? Are not enough. So having that early conversation with you before they write up the RPA or whatever lender that you're using, that's an important conversation. And I love that. So good stuff. Good stuff.
And that's why I built the calculator, because I had a transaction where we made an offer price. The amount I said we needed was based on their original loan amount, but the price got negotiated higher, which meant the loan amount went higher. And then the next morning I got the contract, and the seller credit was short to cover the interest, and the buyer can't make up the difference. So I had to make up the difference, right? So you don't want to end up negotiating this great thing and then going, oh, hey, sorry, seller, I need $3,000 more to make this buy down work. And the seller's like, I'm not budging, right? I'm already in a bad situation, I'm not budging. Then sorry, the buyer's going to back out, and now we're back to square one. I've never had that happen, but that's like a worst case scenario in my head.
Totally. You guys, if you thought the session was fire, give me a thumbs up or give me an emoji on the screen. I thought that this information was great. Obviously, we're always looking to bring people on, but I typically will not bring somebody on for a Keep It Moving group coaching that is not visible in the market. If I don't see you on social, if I don't see your videos, then you will not be here. And so I knew that you'd bring the fire because I've watched your videos, I've seen what you've done. And so let that be a reminder to everybody, right? That's how consumers are receiving information right now. Your visibility matters more than it ever has. Get over yourself. There's been a time where maybe we didn't like the way that we sounded or like the way that we looked. They're going to see you anyways if they do business with you. So you have an opportunity to create this time capsule of information and continuously document your journey, as we've been saying since day one. And so you guys, every single guest that we've had on here says the same exact thing. Own your fame, you guys. This is your opportunity to truly own your fame. Turn that camera around and just start creating at the highest level. So Sean, thank you. I look forward to collaborating with you more in the future, my man. And maybe we maybe pull the van up and we go to certain places, have some fun. But man, I just want to say thank you. I know that you have another session to get ready for right now, but if you are a guest for Keep It Moving Group Coaching, I want to say thank you. The registration form was in the chat. You guys can grab that so you can register for future sessions. But Sean, from the bottom of my heart, sending you love and light, tremendous levels of gratitude. And I just want to thank everybody for coming here. And as always, keep it moving towards your dreams, your goals, and vision. And thank you for being here today. Appreciate you.
Thank you, everyone, so much.
Have a great day, brother.
All right. Bye, you guys.